Nick Nash is the managing partner and co-founder of Asia Pan Partners. Nick is joined by our very own beautiful Liz Fleming, tech maven, early stage investor, and ecosystem catalyst par excellence. Nick and Liz, the floor is yours.
Hello, Nick.
Hi, Liz. How you doing?
Good. It's great to see you. It's great to connect here at South Summit TV.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you for having me all the way from Singapore.
Yeah, not at all. Next time we'll try and get you here in person, but here we are now for this virtual event. Nick, we'll give you a nice introduction there, but my goodness, have you been busy? You are at the core, by the looks of it, of the ecosystem in Southeast Asia, and you look to be doubling down on the bets you've made there. Tell me, as an American in Southeast Asia, landed in Singapore, what is the opportunity? What is after driving you to the region?
We've always believed that the emerging market journey is actually based on some very fundamental, almost meat and potato principles. Middle-class families are getting more affluent. They want to access the better things in life, things that provide quality of life and opportunity through a digital channel. And here in Southeast Asia, we're home to about 10% of the world's population, literally 650 million people. But we have an incredibly unfair advantage, which is that we get to see a little bit of the movie trailer, almost like the answer key to the examination for what happened up in China, what happened before that in Korea and Japan, what happened even before that in the United States when it comes to all things digital. When my first IC public back in 2017, in many ways it was a synthesis of what had worked so well up in China for Alibaba and Tencent and e-commerce and games. We got a chance to do that here in Southeast Asia 10 years later. But the amazing thing is that China didn't end after Alibaba and Tencent's IPOs many years ago. In fact, China kept going in many different directions. So the journey we're on right now is the completion of our ecosystem, following not exactly a perfect carbon copy of what happened up north, but enough similarity that we can actually see in a pretty clear way where this region is heading. It's going to have a fintech ecosystem. It's going to have an edtech ecosystem. There's going to be incredibly important online travel businesses that thrive. COVID notwithstanding, they'll still be there. There's going to be a whole group of vertical e-commerce businesses. And the thing that we find very compelling, and I can speak a little personally about this because I had the great pleasure of ringing that bell on the New York Stock Exchange all those years ago, we think that at least 10 to 15 of those companies from Southeast Asia will go public. They'll probably go public in the US, and they'll probably go public over the next 5 to 10 years. So our mission as former entrepreneurs ourselves is to band together to help the entrepreneur out and to be there with them on that journey. I always say that the guy that climbed Mount Everest, Edmund Hillary, I think there's a statue of him somewhere back in New Zealand, but the Sherpa who helped him up, Tenzing Norgay, he should have become a venture capitalist because he knew exactly what to help the next generation of entrepreneurs with, how to climb up that mountain.
That is incredible, Nick. I guess, of course, that's really the difference that you guys can make because you've kind of been there and done it before. It's amazing as well that you can kind of get this insight from China and almost take this playbook and apply it to the region. So the ecosystem has grown dramatically in recent years. You've had a front seat to all of that and played a significant role in that. Where is it right now? You get a good insight in terms of what's coming in the future, but where are you today? And I suppose what else is required within the ecosystem to realize this vision that you see for technology in the sector, in the region?
Where we are today, if you almost think of an advent calendar at Christmas time, those little calendars with the chocolates of the 24 or 12 days of Christmas, we're basically about 11 years time shifted from where China is today. The China circa 2020 is the land of TikTok, it's the land of cloud computing, it's the land of a new generation of enterprise software startups. Right now, we're basically where China was in give or take 2009. You're starting to see the very first e-commerce startups going public, the first video game startups going public, all the thing that was very exciting, the bee's knees back in 2009. In addition to that, we're probably a decade or two behind even that where India and China were from a talent perspective back in 2009. And that's an interesting challenge for our region. We haven't had as many clusters of engineering universities like the great universities of Spain and the rest of Europe that have generated the talent we'll need for the future. So in many ways, what we do have an incredible opportunity ahead of us, tons of incredible market opportunity, literally 10% of the world, but we're probably a few steps behind, shifted to some other markets, and we're a few steps behind in terms of some of the resources we need to get there. But never fear, capitalism finds a way. If the market opportunity is there, if customers want the services, companies will find a way to deliver them to them. And they'll bring together some of the best talent from different parts of Asia and frankly, even Europe and North America to serve those customers. So where are we? I think we're at the beginning of a golden decade, a 10-year period that probably started right around now or a year ago, where the future is indeed very bright for Southeast Asia.
Super exciting. I love that when you talk about how, money will follow the markets. If you can demonstrate the market, the investors will come. I think that's something that we can learn from as well in this part of the world. And Nick, finally, can you give us a little bit of insight? And you mentioned some of the verticals that you think are, about to explode in Southeast Asia now. Can you dive into a little bit of the type of consumer trends, maybe the type of applications and solutions people are craving for, things are just starting to take off? There's always nuances and differences in different regions between Latin America and Europe and Southeast Asia, let's say. So what are some of the curiosities there that you see maybe on the way that might not be as obvious to where we are in the markets in Europe, for example?
Of course. Well, it's such a pleasure, Liz, talking to you about this, not just because we're Kaufman buddies, but also because sitting in Europe, you actually have an understanding of what Southeast Asia is like, because you're in a part of the world with 7 to 10 different countries, all with different strengths and weaknesses and complexity. That's so different than a monolithic China or a monolithic US or a monolithic India, for that matter, if India can be called monolithic. So it's great to have this dialogue with you. Let me summarize 3 things that are probably not very well understood outside in about what's happening here on the ground. We've already talked about the opportunity, the nature of time shifting, the chance to learn from near neighbors here in Asia. But here are 3 things that are maybe a little bit less obvious. The first thing is, despite the fact that we've got 7 to 10 countries of varying scale, the code was cracked about 4 or 5 years ago on how to bring them all together under one logo, one company. It's a little bit of what Unilever and Danone and Nestle figured out in consumer in Europe over the past 40, 50 years. And I have to say, it's not easy, but the code has been cracked. Sea's journey to a $78 billion market cap now, Grab and a handful of others, there's enough proof points that this is addressable on a regional level. That's a game changer because now you can go public at real scale. And that has hitherto been challenging, but is now a solved concept. Hard, yes. Solvable, yes as well. The second really interesting observation is I divide emerging markets, and frankly the world, into 2 kinds of tech ecosystems. Ecosystems where telcos are very, very powerful and very dominant. You're seeing that in India right now with Jio. You saw that in Japan in the 1990s and early 2000s with NTT Docomo. Of course, that in Latin America with the America Movil penetration across the region. But Southeast Asia is different. In some ways, it's a little bit more like the United States. Got there for different reasons. No one telco dominates enough of it. Certainly in the US after '84 with the Ma Bell breakup, and likewise in Southeast Asia because of 7 to 10 countries, no one telco dominates the region to a level where it would actually perhaps take some of the oxygen out of the room, as that may be happening in other parts of the world. That's a real positive. And the final aspect, which is sort of really interesting, is that unlike China, unlike Korea, unlike Japan, there isn't a unified messaging app that's the go-to app. China's got WeChat. Korea, of course, has Kakao. Japan has Line. When those businesses exist, they, in their own sort of way, supply oxygen to companies that are part of their ecosystem and take oxygen away from those that aren't. There is no equivalent here in Southeast Asia, which probably makes it a little harder to stay in touch with your friends, but it also creates a lot more opportunity for startups because it's a little bit more of a level playing field. There is no one ring to rule them all. that you have to pay obeisance to. It's just many different players can create application ecosystems. In fact, the two most prominent super apps in our region are both based on ride sharing, which is very, very unique relative to other parts of the world. So I share these three maybe unusual facts about our region to illustrate that it's a very unique market, very much its own person, so to speak, vis-a-vis other parts of Asia. But there, so I think is the opportunity for investors and entrepreneurs to build something very special here.
Amazing, Nick. You make it sound pretty irresistible. And now with the world all in remote, there's probably more and more international talent willing to get up and land in your part of the world, also with its beautiful climate and cultural diversity. Nick, that's all we have time for. Thank you so much. You brought the first Southeast Asian company to IPO in the US. Can't wait to see the next 10, 15 IPOs you're going to get under your belt. Thanks for being with us at this year's edition of South Summit.
Great stuff, Liz. See you soon, and stay very safe for you and your family.
Take
good
care.
care.
Thank you.